This is part 23 of my Minecraft Create series, and today I want to take you all through how I came up with the idea and ended up building this wacky little shop right here in my town of Create. But there was just something about it that I couldn't figure out until recently. And that thing was the gimmick. I knew I wanted to build a shop in my town, but what kind of shop? I've actually had this idea since I first started playing Create over a year ago now. My first thought was maybe an NPC merchant hut, like we've seen in some of the official Create showcases. But there's already a crafting table right next to my house, which essentially does the same thing. And at the end of the day, I didn't really want to make that either, but then I figured I don't really have that many NPCs set up, so I'll save that idea for another time. Yet it still has those little nooks and crannies for storage and decoration. Like, how do you even decide what items are available? How do you keep track of the seasons? And how do you get your items restocked? And these pillars also double as convenient places to hang signs. For instance, I used some cobblestone to create a border between the dirt path and the grass. And I also experimented with some custom gradients. I'm not entirely happy with the placement of the flower pots, though. I think I need to put a few more up top near the ceiling to help break up all of the wood. I use a single oak wood type for the entire build because I thought it gave it a nice rustic feel. All really good questions, and I'll be sure to answer them all later on in the video. So creating one is a bit tricky, so you can follow along exactly as I am doing, and you can take your time learning at your own pace. Essentially, what you need to do is place one block. Since this store will change items every season, I wanted to come up with a good system for keeping track of what items are currently available, so I copied and pasted the design into my actual world when I want to change the items in the store, and surrounding the room is another gear assembly that controls the lighting system. All I have to do is rotate the big wheel to the corresponding season, then immediately place the same block below it. I show you my entire process and how I think about building. And to make it easier to grab the chests, well, that's where this huge oak tree comes in. Inside, there's a hole in the top that allows me to insert name tags. I made a system where you can pull a lever to extend one of the rails. I tried having the lamp turn on and off automatically using daylight sensors, but that didn't work properly. So I just stuck with manual. You'll learn how to plan your builds, gather materials, troubleshoot problems, and of course how to actually construct your builds. In the winter, you can buy snowballs, ice, and blue orchids. In the spring, you can buy dandelions, azalea, and spruce wood. And in the autumn, you can buy pumpkins, bones, and brown mushrooms. If the plate detects a name tag, then it activates a note block, signaling that there's room to insert another name tag. Then you can replace the block on top with whatever you want. There's always a reason to come back. I pull a lever to drop them into the 4 slots below, allowing you to access the chest for that season. These 4 levers correspond to the 4 buttons in front of the shop. I began working on the exterior, and one of the first things I did was build a roof above the front entrance. These name tags will be used later to control who can pick up the seasonal items. The rails lead directly to the basement of the main shop building, where there are 4 more chests, 1 for each season. And if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and subscribe. I originally wanted to have a door here, but doors in Creates don't work properly with item frames. So I just went with the sign instead. And depending on the opacity of that block, it'll blend together to create a gradient effect. So when I decided to start making some more builds for the town, I really wanted to branch out and try something new. The house has a simple interior with double chests for storing summer, winter, spring, and autumn items. Then I thought maybe a weapons shop where you can get different swords and bows and stuff. And then it hit me while I was gathering resources. I recently released a brand new course teaching everything you need to know about Minecraft building, including how I take a basic idea and turn it into a build like this. What if this shop had a rotating selection of items based off of the season? So in the summer, you could get different things than in the winter. It would be a completely new way to give people different reasons to visit the store every once in a while. And so that's exactly what I did. This whole shop has been meticulously crafted to give the player a new reason to visit each season. And I think it turned out great. Of course, there are some other unique aspects of the shop that I'll get into later, because before I built any of the mechanisms, I first needed to figure out what I wanted the shop to look like. But before I talk about any of that, let's go ahead and enter the shop and see what's inside. And after playing around with a few different ideas in creative mode, I landed on this very simple design. I love how clean and open it feels. The roof is supported by these 4 stone pillars that are capped off with andesite to match the floor. And to bring some color into the build, I used terracotta flower pots filled with vines. Regardless, it was really fun to make, especially because I got to play around with some different landscaping techniques. You know, Minecraft doesn't have a true gradient system using this technique. I made the hill gradually fade from grass to dirt to stone. And I tried something similar with the small mountain in the distance. But anyway, after spending a lot of time on the landscaping, I finally got the build just how I wanted it. And now that we're talking about copying builds, if you've ever wanted to learn how I make all of my videos, well, now you can. It is honestly the best course I've ever made, because instead of showing you step by step how I build a few sample builds, plus every single lesson includes a downloadable world, okay? So now that you've totally forgotten about the amazing course you just bought, let's get back to my... So after placing the Culpit build down, I started working on the interior. In the end, I created this big gear assembly that controls 4 separate item frames. In the center of the store, I placed a crafting table that acts as both a display piece and a functional crafting station. Basically, when I flip a lever, it powers this big redstone lamp, giving the room a much more cozy atmosphere. After finishing up the interior, below that, I set up a stone button that activates a dropper filled with name tags. Next, I built a small house on the roof to act as storage space for the items that are ERNT currently being displayed. And outside, I built a small crane assembly that allows me to grab any of the chests and drop it down onto the rail below. These basement chests are used to store extra items that can be spawned in if the main chests run out. But what about the items themselves? And when I throw a name tag into the hole, it lands on this big plate. Once I have all 4 name tags inserted, when you press one of the buttons, it activates a redstone lamp above the door, and it also enables a trapdoor in the basement. At this point, I still hadn't decided what items I wanted to sell, but after messing around a bit, I came up with this. In the summer, you can buy pufferfish, fire charges, and glowstone dust. Each season gives you a different assortment of useful items. And that's why I think this shop works so well. If you did like to see the full video of me building this shop and explaining everything in detail, then check it out.